Okay. So in the last class we said about the consistories. It is about the meetings about between or of Pope and the cardinals. So the individual cardinals collaborate in the Roman Curia at the head of the most important dicasteries. Or dicastery is nothing but the congregation. Congregation for the priest, congregation for the laity, congregation for the seminarians. Different congregations are there. So the president will be normally the cardinal. So they will head the dicasteries or the congregations, and as members of some of them, so as presidents or as the members, the cardinals render their services. This is to resolve more important questions. If there is any problem, they will solve, and final decision will be taken by the Pope. So when we dealt about the cardinals, we also said about the cardinal bishop, cardinal priests, and cardinal deacons. So Canon 350 speaks about the college of cardinals. It is divided into three orders: the episcopal order, the presbyterial order, and the diaconal order. Three orders. This is nothing but a cardinal bishop, cardinal priest, cardinal deacons. So these are the three orders: episcopal, the presbyterial, and diaconal. So Canon 351 paragraph 1 speaks of those to be promoted cardinals. Afterwards you can read. Canon 252 paragraph 1 speaks about the cardinal dean. So yesterday also I said, so there will be a dean for the cardinals. He has got an important responsibility and role to play. 352 canon. The dean presides over the college of cardinals. When he is unable to do so, the subdean takes his place. The dean or the subdean has no power of governance over the other cardinals. They don't have any power to govern on other cardinals, no power at all. But he is considered as first among equals. All are equal, but first among the equals. When the office of dean is vacant, those cardinals who have a suburbicarian title, and only those under the presidency of the subdean, if he is present, or of the oldest member, elect one of their number to act as dean of the college. They are to submit his name to the Roman pontiff, to whom it belongs to approve the person elected. So if that post is vacant, then they come together and elect another one, and that name should be presented to the Pope to confirm it. Paragraph 2. In the same way, to set out in paragraph 2, the subdean is elected with the dean presiding. It belongs to the Roman pontiff to approve also the election of the subdean. Paragraph 4. If the dean and subdean do not already have a domicile in Rome, they acquire it there. Domicile, what is that? Right to reside, right for residence. So sometimes if he is out of Rome, elsewhere, in other place, if he is elected, and automatically he will get the domicile of Rome. So when the Holy See is vacant, the dean plays an important role. So, cardinal bishop, what was the ancient idea and presently how he functions? Let us see about these three: cardinal bishop, cardinal priest, and cardinal deacons. Bishops who have titles to the suburban sees of Rome and Eastern Rite patriarchs who are made cardinals are called cardinal bishops. The suburban sees are 7. There are 7 suburban sees. So these are the places outskirts of Rome. Rome in one place, the town, and these following 7 places are outside of Rome. So the bishops who have titles to the suburban sees of Rome and Eastern Rite patriarchs who are made cardinals are called cardinal bishops. The 7 suburban sees are Albano, Ostia, Porto and Santa Rufina, Palestrina, Frascati, Velletri, Sabina and Poggio Mirteto. These are Italian places, and afterwards you will get it. These are not that so much important. These are the places still existing, and cardinal bishops will be in charge of these suburban sees. And Frascati, Capuchins have a friary, and on the hill, a beautiful place. We used to have meetings. And next, cardinal priests were formerly rectors of churches in Rome. So cardinal bishops are in charge of suburban sees, and cardinal priests are rectors of the churches in Rome. Today, for the most part, they are diocesan bishops governing important sees of the Catholic Church all over the world. They are, however, assigned a title to a church in Rome. So cardinal priests are given important dioceses to rule in their own respective place. Mumbai, we have a cardinal. He has got his own see, diocese to rule. Likewise, others, their own places. They have the church, Catholic Church, to govern. And cardinal deacons formerly were in charge of the regional divisions of Rome. Today they are prefects of the various departments of the Roman Curia. So dicasteries or congregations and departments, they will be prefects or the presidents of different departments of Roman Curia. So as we said earlier, they take up the important heads of the most important dicasteries, we said, right? So a dicasteries, another name is a department of the Roman Curia or congregation of the Roman Curia. So Roman Curia, what is it is and all we will see. So it consists of all different departments, different offices, different dicasteries, congregations. They are also assigned a church in Rome by the Roman Pontiff. They may not stay there, or they can stay also. Some will stay in the apartments of Vatican, some cardinals, and look after the works that are entrusted to them. So did you understand? Cardinals having different works. portfolios. Cardinal bishops have their own suburban sees. Cardinal bishops, they will govern different sees of the diocese in different places. And cardinal deacons, they will be in charge of the different departments or congregations as a prefect and so on, or members of the departments, congregations. So next, the Roman Curia, canons 360 to 361. Roman Curia is a permanent structure which helps the Holy Father in his daily work in the service of the universal church and the particular churches. It is a permanent structure, and it helps the Holy Father in his administration or rendering service in the universal church as well as in the particular churches. So it is composed of the Secretariat of State. Secretariat of State. So now we say external ministry, right? So the one cardinal is in charge and team will be there. So he will see the diplomatic issues between state and Holy See. Secretariat of State, the congregations, tribunals. So some cardinals will be in charge of the tribunal. 2 tribunals I said, Segnatura Apostolica and Rota Romana, and councils and other organisms, etc. So all of these consist the Roman Curia. Their constitution, the competencies assigned to each dicastery, and the way in which they are to be carried out are established in a particular special law, which currently is the Apostolic Constitution Pastor Bonus. Pastor Bonus. This Apostolic Constitution, in which all these are different dicasteries, congregations, Secretary of State, their responsibilities all are dealt. So this is not there in the Code of Canon Law, but it is a part of Code of Canon Law. It's a part of the corpus of Canon Law, Canon 360. The name Curia is derived from curare. Derived from curare, which means to take care of. And in Roman times, the Curia was the building where the Senate met. So most of the terms are derived from Roman law. Okay. So Roman Catholic Church we say, right? So our Code of Canon Law mostly based on Roman law. So many of the terms also taken from there. The Roman times, the Curia was the building where the Senate met. In the Middle Ages, the papal court came to be called the Curia Romana. So from Middle Age onwards, The papal court came to be called the Curia Romana. The cardinals and many bishops of the entire world collaborate in the Curia. So earlier also I said cardinals and bishops work in the Curia. They take up important responsibilities as the head of the departments or congregations and dicasteries. The cardinals and many bishops of the entire world collaborate in the Curia as members of the dicasteries, helped by consultors, officials, and others who can be clerics, religious, or laity. Not only the cardinals and bishops, other experts, those who have done the doctorate qualifications, they can be either clerics, religious, and lay people. So all those who are holding the degrees, their service will be requested to help in the Curia, and they will be paid also. So many of our Capuchins also are working in the Curia in different departments, religious, lay people, and Dacian priests, qualified ones from different countries. Therefore, the dicasteries must act in union of intention with him, following these principal criteria. So, all of these, those working in the Curia, must act in union with the Roman Pontiff according to his intention. And what they have to keep in their mind is not to do anything important and extraordinary without previously having communicated it to the Holy Father. So, without communicating to the Holy Father, they should not do anything. Any important and extraordinary thing should not be done without communicating to the Holy Father, and to submit to the approval of the Holy Father acts of major importance. Acts of major importance are to be submitted to the Holy Father for his approval, unless they have already received the competence to realize them. If they are given already the permission, they can continue, and the special approval is not required. But otherwise, for everything, they should get the approval of the Holy Father. The dicasteries cannot issue laws or norms having the force of law, derogate from the prescriptions of universal law, except in individual cases and with the specific approval of the Supreme Pontiff. So, any dicastery, any congregation, they cannot issue the laws. So, who has got the legislative power in the Universal Church? The Pope. Only he has to issue and promulgate laws. So, this is what said in a Pastor bonus. Therefore, when speaking of the Holy See or of the Apostolic See, one intends to refer not only to the Roman Pontiff, but also to the Secretariat of State and other institutions of the Roman Curia, unless the nature of the matter or of the context of the words makes the contrary evident. So, when we say Holy See or the Apostolic See, what does it mean? It includes the Roman Pontiff, Secretariat of State, and other institutions of the Roman Curia, congregations, dicasteries, and other organisms and tribunals. Earlier we said is it clear? Holy See, what is that? Yeah, Apostolic See, also same, includes Roman Pontiff also. Canon 361. The fact that the acts of the Roman Pontiff are unobjectionable, whereas those of the Curia can be contested in a significant distinction. Okay, earlier we said infallibility, unobjectionable, cannot be objected. So the Roman Pontiff has got this infallibility. But in the case of the Roman Curia, objectionable, can be contested. If any issue is there, we can file a case where the tribunal of the Universal Church, which are there, Segnatura Apostolica and Rota Romana. So the fact that the acts of the Roman Pontiff are unobjectionable, whereas those of the Curia can be contested. Is a significant distinction. That is the distinction between the Roman Curia and the Roman Pontiff. On the other hand, the supreme authority of the Church belongs to whom? And College of Bishops. So the supreme authority of the Church refers only to the Pope and to the College of Bishops. So when we say College of Bishops, the Bishop of Rome also is included. Who is the Bishop of Rome? Pope. The supreme authority of the Church refers only to the Pope and to the College of Bishops, to the exclusion of the Curia. So Curia is not included. The code often uses the terms Apostolic See or Holy See. Apostolic See or Holy See to refer to the papal office. To refer to the papal office. The word see comes from the Latin sedes. Sedes. It means the seat or place of authority. These two terms include both the Roman Pontiff and the institutions of Roman Curia. Canon 361. Next, pontifical legates. Canons 362 to 367. Pontifical legates are the stable representatives of the Roman Pontiff to the particular churches. They are the stable representatives of the Roman Pontiff to the particular churches and state governments of the various nations. These are the representatives of the Roman Pontiff to the particular churches and the state governments. Their principal function is to make the pastoral solicitude of the Holy Father the main principal function is to make the pastoral solicitude of the Holy Father for all the churches, wherever they are sent, the particular churches. To strengthen the ties of unity. So first one is pastoral solicitude. Second, to strengthen the ties of unity. Charity. And cooperation between state governments and the See of Peter, Holy See. Cooperation between state governments or particular churches and the See of Peter. And they carry out also the work of information for the Holy See. They give the updates, what's happening in the particular churches and in the particular state government, the relationship with the church. If there is any major issue also, they bring to the notice of the Holy See immediately. So they carry out a work of information for the Holy See. About the condition of the life of the church and of candidates for the episcopate, the condition of the church in the particular churches. About the candidates for the episcopate, so they also give the information, right? Initial inquiry they do here and send the file to the Holy See. So there is another congregation. They assist, advise and cooperate with the local bishops and with the conferences of bishops. Who? Legates, papal legates. So another name for them is nuncio. So they assist, advise and cooperate with the local bishops and with the conferences of bishops. They defend the freedom of the church before the state authority. They defend the freedom of the church before the state authority. And finally, they realize the functions and mandates entrusted to them by the Holy See. They realize the functions and mandates entrusted to them by the Holy See. So, whatever the work entrusted to them by the Holy See, they fulfill it. They function in their respective places wherever they are sent. Canon 364. So just look at the canon. The principal task of the papal legate is continually to make more firm and effective the bonds of unity which exist between the Holy See and the particular churches. Within the territory assigned to them, it is therefore the responsibility of a legate. So, all of what we had seen. To inform the Apostolic See about the conditions in which the particular churches find themselves, as well as about all matters which affect the life of the church and the good of souls. Second, to assist the bishops by action and advice while leaving intact the exercise of their lawful power. So, they will unnecessarily not interfere in the power of the local bishop, but they suggest if anything is there. 3. To foster close relations with the Episcopal Conference, offering it every assistance. 4. In connection with the appointment of bishops, to send or propose names of candidates to the Apostolic See, as well as to prepare the informative process about those who may be promoted in accordance with the norms issued by the Apostolic See. According to the norms of the Apostolic See, they will gather the information, make a file and submit to the Holy See. If the Holy See wants to have more information or any complaints have gone to the Holy See, they will ask the nuncio, the legate here. If it is of India, we have papal legate nuncio in New Delhi. They will ask him and he will investigate and collect the information and send to the Holy See. To take pains to promote whatever may contribute to peace, progress and the united efforts of peoples. To work with the bishops to foster appropriate exchanges between the Catholic Church and other churches or ecclesial communities and intend with non-Christian religions. 7. To work with the bishops to safeguard, so far as the rules of the state are concerned, those things which relate to the mission of the Church and of the Apostolic See. 8. To exercise the faculties and carry out the other instructions which are given to him by the Apostolic See. So, these are the functions and responsibilities of the papal legate or nuncio. And 365, a papal legate who at the same time acts an envoy to the state according to the international law, as in addition to the special role. So, ambassador is also an ambassador, acts as it is according to the rule of the international law between the countries, right? The role and regulations and diplomatic functioning, they have to keep in mind the rules of the international law. Of promoting and fostering relationships between the Apostolic See and the authorities of the state. Of dealing with the questions concerning relations between church and state, especially of drawing up concordats and other similar agreements and giving effect to them. So the ambassadors in different countries, they make agreement between the countries with regard to certain policies or issues. After having discussed, the countries make agreement, a mutual agreement. So that is called concordats. 366, Canon 366. Given the special nature of the legate's role, the papal legation is exempt from the power of governance of the local ordinary. So they don't have any territory to govern. They have to overlook, look after the entire territory that is entrusted to them, country or state, except for the celebration of marriages. So they can bless the marriages, okay? They can celebrate the marriages. But no power of governance in the as the local ordinary. The papal legate has the right to perform liturgical celebrations, even in pontificalia. So pontifical mass celebration. That's why when he comes, he can celebrate Holy Eucharist for the public, but with the information to the local ordinary. In all churches of the territory of his legation, as far as it is possible, he is to give prior notice to the local ordinary. Is it clear? He has to give the notice and information to the local ordinary if he is coming to that diocese or particular church. So these are the functions of the papal legate. So clear? So as I said, these legates have the title of nuncio and are sent and revoked according to the norms of international law regarding diplomatic agents. We have seen it already. Legates who only have a mission with the local ecclesiastical hierarchy and not with the state are called apostolic delegates. Who are the delegates? Apostolic delegates are those legates who only have a mission with the local hierarchical ecclesiastical hierarchy. Here the difference between legates and the apostolic delegates. So apostolic legates, they have the connection with the hierarchical ecclesiastical hierarchy or the particular churches and the state government. But when we say apostolic delegates, they have only with the ecclesiastical hierarchy. Their mission is only with the local ecclesiastical hierarchy and not with the state. Canons 362 to 367. Legates who represent the Holy See with regard to international organizations and conferences are also designated. Next, the particular churches. The particular churches, Canons 368 to 374. Canons 368